how do I balance recruiting and selling and building and going to meetings? I normally say, do you wash your own clothes? Why didn't you ask me how to balance that? Okay, everything good so far? Everybody happy? You learning? Okay. All right, so I got into something pretty intense, like with James Coleman. Y'all heard him talk about it, Night Owl, Adam Burge. A lot of people I really got into, Alara, James, Alara, and it was pretty impactful. It's going to be difficult to do on a limited amount of time, but I want to give you a taste of it. And when I say I had a lot of time, it's because they spent 3 nights out at the cabin, and so it's like in the mornings early we're chatting while we got guns in our hands, we're chatting while we're having lunch, and then we're chatting in the afternoon, and then we got a bartender there. I mean, there's a lot of chatting, and some teaching moments, but just getting all into the depth and just letting him ask a question and then fix it and clarify it. It is very annoying when you're talking to a person that's making less than $250,000 and they go, "Got it," and you go like, "Yeah, that's you ain't got it." You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more to it. You're not getting it. So I am going to do more of the cabin events that will have more time. It is very limited. We did just build 4 more units out there, more buildings, one more building that has 4 really nice bedrooms in it. But I am going to do one, just so you know, opening. I like to hunt. I like to play golf. If someone wants to play golf, I just don't have a golf course, and I couldn't maintain something. I like that place down in Augusta. I know what they call it, but the Masters, yeah. Augusta National, that's what they call it. They don't call it the Masters. I played there a few times. I really like it. Pebble Beach, Spyglass, I like those. Pinehurst is okay. It's like number 2 or number 3 or one like that I like. It's 3 I like, 2, yeah. So I'm picky. I don't like the ones around Burlington. But hunting, I like pretty much everywhere as long as there's stuff to shoot. So opening day of dove season is pretty popular. Like the first day, it's legal. Sunrise, we never really know because Mother Nature has a lot to do with it. But the opening day is the 1st of September. So August 31st is a Sunday. So I am going to have some people out Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, I'm doing 4 nights instead of 3. Oh, no. But it'd still be crazy. It's going to be crazy. I could back those up to 3 nights if somebody talks to me and tells me that I can't get along with people for 4 nights. But I'm going for 4 nights. That would be first day of dove season. Then I'm going to do one the following, like the 3rd, everybody would leave, but a new group of people would come in 4, 5, 6. And the 6th is a Virginia football game at NC State. So the tailgate would be stupid crazy. Football game, you never know. We don't know if it's a noon game or a night game. Either way, we're completely sold out. 54,000 fans. It's pretty crazy. And then there's another time, bow season comes in, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. I'm going to do one then. Bow season is still in September 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. And then September 29th and 30th and October 1st and 2nd. So that's 5 different times that people can get in on those. You can't sign up, and I'm not going to commit to you, but I'm telling you the dates are going to be available. The way we did it one time is Riddle just filled one up with every one of his people, and then we had one that Mike Leventovich, Abian, and Coleman came in. Sometimes we do it just one group. Sometimes we just do it a blend of group. But if you want to get some crazy time, I mean, this place is luxurious. You can talk to anybody that's been, watch the videos. Like, it's truly amazing, ridiculous out there. So, to get more into depth, there's two super sharp guys that just hit me like, when can we get some time? And I'm going to make time for them quicker. But I'm going to make time for them quicker, and it's precisely what I'm talking about, why I would make time for them quicker. So, like, I don't care who you are. Like, I don't care if you don't have a college degree. I don't care if your vocabulary is 212 words. I don't care if you're short. Like, so I'm not discriminatory against you being awesome. I'm just discriminatory about me putting money on you. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, as in, like, I believe you could do anything you want to. I just don't know if you want to do anything. And a lot of people get mad because they feel like they're judged because they haven't done anything. And I go like, yeah, that's one of my criterias. It's whether you've done anything. And it's not that you can't do anything. It's just that you hadn't. I just saw Big Mike lean up. So the first thing I asked Big Mike, what kind of business do you have? He said, car restoration, truck restoration. You know, what kind of money are you making? He said, I was taking home like $300,000. How many years ago was that? It's like 15 years ago. So 15 years ago, you're making $300,000. Huh, you missed that lifestyle? Yeah, okay. So I can get him back to $300,000 faster than I get somebody that's never made more than $60,000. It's just easier because he knows what it's like. Like he knows like this gentleman was sitting beside me. We sat down in the plate. It was a table for 8 people. Chef serving, fancy meal, right? And I mean, this kid is just, where's Mike Leventovich? This kid's just digging in, man. He's digging in. And everybody else is waiting for pictures and waiting for everybody to prayer, you know. And he's just digging in. I just tapped him on the elbow, and I was like, that's not the type of thing I would have to do with Mike. You know me, Big Mike. He would, you know what I'm saying? And other people go like, what is he talking about? And I go, it's just something. It's not a big thing. But so I wouldn't have to waste time saying it to Big Mike. I don't mind saying it to you. You understand? But if I can find somebody that already knows stuff, right? And I pretty much speak English. Not great. I don't know a lot of words, but I got great facial expressions in English. You know what I mean? Like I can communicate. And rednecks, you know. So I like people that speak 2, 3, 4 languages near me. So if I'm talking to somebody else, I got somebody that can talk to them. So like you like people that speak multiple languages. Yeah, I do, because they've learned more than one. So they've done it. Okay. So these guys that I'm talking about, there's 2 that have done stuff. They got fancy degrees, fancy universities, and fancy languages. So automatically I'm drawn to them. And then also they're, I mean, no offense, but they're half the age of Big Mike, right? So if I get them to making a huge organization, I get to make money off of them longer because, right, Big Mike? What did that doctor say to you? Here's what the doctor said to Big Mike. He said, hey, man, it's good to get to know you a little bit. Big Mike said, well, good. I'm glad you're getting to know me. He said, yeah, when you came in 2 months ago, I didn't want to ask you too many questions because I didn't figure you was going to be around very long. Facts. And I was like, me and that doctor are alike. You know what I mean? You don't want to put a whole long time into somebody that ain't going to be around. Right? Big Mike's like, you misjudged me. I got years left. The guy's like, hey, we'll see. You know? So here's the concept. The concept, you can either work 40 hours a week or 100 or any number in between. But I'm just going to work with you on those. No. I'm going to go with 40 and 80. So 40 hours a week is pretty much 8 hours times 5 days. See how I did that? 8 times 5. Tracking with me? 80 would be like 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is like 12. Okay? So 12 times 5 is 60. But if you did Saturday, now you're at 72. Y'all see how I'm doing this math? You tracking with me so far? So I don't care if you're working 40 or 80 or 100. I would say I was pushing 100 a lot of hours, a lot of times. And Jane, you can ask Jane, maybe it was more than 100 sometimes, but I'm just using 40 and 80. So if you're working 40 hours a week, or 40 hours a week, and you're getting paid $10 an hour, I did the math on this a lot of times. You're making $20,000 a year. That still don't sound right to me. I would have thought $10 an hour times 40 times 50. I always give them 2 weeks for vacation. And I don't have to put in a 2. I just put in a 0. It's $20,000 a year. But if you were working 80 hours and make $20,000, you're only making $5 an hour. Okay, but if you were working 80 at $10 an hour, but I'm not doing it like that. I'm looking at the end of the year, how much did you make? So you could call out your incomes, and I'd say, all right, this is how much you're making per hour. It's like if you said, let's do another one. If you said $50,000, I would go, blah, 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 blah. You're making $25 an hour. And they go, no, I'm making a lot more than that. I go, bro, did you only work 10 hours a week? Yeah, I was only working 10, and I made 40 or 50. Okay, great, you only work 10. But I'm only doing math of 40 and 80. You with me? So at 40 hours a week, $25 per hour gets you $50,000. If you're working 80 hours a week and only make $50,000, then you're making $12.50 an hour. Y'all see what I'm doing here? The pattern. So you want to go to let's go to 3 million. So at the end of the year, you make 3 million. I go, about how many hours you work a week? You say, about 100. I go, I can't do 100. You go, how about 80? Can you do the math on that? Yep, 80. At 80 hours a week, you must have been making about $750 per hour. If you go, no, I only work about 40 hours, well, you're making $1,500 an hour. Okay. So the idea is, if you're working 40 hours and you do 10 hours at $25 an hour, and then 10 hours at $40 an hour, and then 10 hours at $60 an hour, and then 10 hours at $80 an hour, then you add these up, divide by 4, and that's about what you're making per hour. Or the other way we do it is just go to the end of the year and say how much you're making, divide it by 50 weeks, divide it by 40. So the simple concept is this. If you want to double how much money you make, you got 2 choices. Double the amount of hours or double the dollars per hour you're getting. Okay. So, I get this question. Hey, man, how do I balance recruiting and selling and building and going to meetings? And here's the first thing I normally say. Do you wash your own clothes? Yes. Why didn't you ask me how to balance that? They want to balance working, but they don't want to balance non-working. Work with me on this. Who does your dry cleaning? Do you carry your dry cleaning? Do you get your own coffee? Do you make up your bed? Do you clean your house? Do you fix the lawnmower? Do you mow the yard? I would try to eliminate anything that's not $1,500 worth an hour. So anything that you can pay somebody less than $1,500 an hour, then pay them. So I'm not paying anybody $1,000 an hour. I know you're not. Do you, Andy? Yeah. Why? Because he won't work for less. Some of you know who he is. Who is it? Yeah, I heard two, your attorney and Bob King. Yeah, he won't work for less than $1,000 an hour. And I can't do what he does. What about his smart assistants? Hell no. I've hired them. They're $300, and I use them sometimes $200 an hour, $300 an hour. But I would rather pay him $1,000 an hour. I'm gonna tell him next time. I'm not like, me and Keith, we struggle with that. Like, I would rather pay $1,000 an hour and get it done. Okay, so, all right, so let's talk about mowing your yard. How much does that cost? I don't know, $50 an hour? How much do you have to look at the lawnmower guy? Depends on how you do it. If you get a service to do it, it's, you go, hey, he does it for like $100 a week. You know, $100 a week. That's not bad. So I'm always thinking bundle it. I'm State Farm. I'm going to bundle it. So what I try to do is get them full-time 40 hours a week. Because it is weird how people, if you only hire them 2 hours, they're stupid expensive. But if you promise to give them 40 hours, they'll do it for cheap. Hey, Sherry. You understand what? They'll do it for cheap if you do a lot of hours. So I go ahead and get them to commit 40. That way, that's cheap. But it's 40. See, people are funny like that. And they're going like, so you're going to pay him $20 an hour for 40 hours a week. I said, you know that's only $800, right? You know my attorney's $1,000 an hour, and he's $800 a week. Yeah, but he can't do attorney work. No, but he's a hell of a lawnmower guy. And I upgraded him this weekend. I noticed Jane was looking at my text. I've upgraded our yard guy, okay? I kept getting this message from Frank Valley Wines that they keep trying to deliver my wine. And I was like, I think they're trying to deliver it in Florida. So I turned it over to my yard guy. Wouldn't that be crazy if he fixed that problem? So normally that's a Missy problem. But Missy's way more expensive than my guy does my yard. You know what I'm saying? And Missy's very busy doing other stuff, so I was like going to pawn this off on him. Why don't you do it? Because I'm doing something else. Okay, so the idea is, do you do $25 an hour work, $30 an hour work, $40? What do you do to, like, and some people don't want to work. I don't really want to talk to you. I'm talking to a guy that wants to make $3 million a year, and he's willing to give me his left thumb. You with me? Like, for $3 million a year, you can cut it off. That's the guy I'm looking for, or girl that says, yeah, sure, $3 million, take it right now. And I'm gonna go, no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You don't have to do that. You're going to have to empty your bank account paying for people to do all the dumb work for you. You're not the guy I'm looking for, too. You're the guy who goes, wait, I don't have to cut off any parts? Just my money? I go, yeah, just your money. And you go, yeah, that's the guy I want, because you can make more money, but you can't grow another thumb. And by the way, there are a lot of people that will give you something more important than a thumb for $3 million a year. You can cut off my right thumb for that. Okay. So here's what I'm looking for. Or here's what I'm not looking for. I can't. Here's what I'm looking for. You're so unaware, you don't know how to do what I'm telling you to do. So you have two choices. Say, I can't do that, because you don't know how. Or you could say, how would I go about doing that? So your choices to say to me is, I can't. Or you say to me, how can I do that? So like, how can I do that? How can I quit doing all the 150? Millie, how do I quit doing the $200 an hour work? And how do I only do the $500 an hour work? Because if you do the math, it's $300 per hour difference. So if you do $500 times 40 as opposed to $200 times 40, you've time and a half your money. So all you're doing is you're trying to squeeze the amount of work that's below 500 into somebody else. Now, if you could get somebody to do $200 an hour work and pay them $50 an hour, I'm cool with that. But if you have to pay $200, pay $200. Now, you say, but I don't have enough $500 an hour work to do. I go, are you telling me you can't? You say, I don't know what else to do that makes $500 an hour. How can I work 40 hours at $500 an hour? Now I can start explaining to you what's worth $500 an hour, what's worth $1,500 an hour. But I got to get you to be willing at least to quit doing the $15 an hour work, please. So, I really want. I want to do a few more numbers, but I almost want questions. But the problem is I only want questions at higher level questions, so it's hard for me to sort that out. Let me give you another one. Okay, 168 hours in a week. Oh, let me give you something, Abian and Andy. I don't know if y'all do this. This is $3,000 an hour work, but I don't know if you ever do it. Okay? Cats, this is $3,000 an hour work. I'm not sure if you do it. What is it? Explaining to my intelligent people what 168 hours in a week is. Explaining it to them. You go, what do you mean? Explain it to them. So if I ever walk up to one of your smarter guys, and I go, 168, no, if I say, how many hours in a week? And he goes, I'm not sure. Then I want to look back at you and go like, why were you not doing the $3,000 an hour work? Why didn't you do that? You go, well, because I didn't have time. Well, then you must have been doing something worth less than $3,000 an hour. So like, for example, lately I've had some of my leaders and I've heard them teaching the 168 concept. And I'm like, oh my God, that's worth so much money to explain that concept. It's funny, like people hear me doing it, and I guess they go like, yeah, that's Albright work, not our kind of work. Almost like, that's yard man work. I don't do that kind of work. That's the kind of work my yard man does. No, that's the kind of work I do. Why aren't you copying the work that I do? I ain't working for less than $3,000 an hour. Why are you accepting it? Well, I didn't know that was worth $300 or $3,000 an hour. I'm with your you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know it was worth that. Yeah. Having your people know that is so important. So it's funny because people, you know how many hours a week? No. And I go, seriously, how old are you? 25, 35, 40 years old. They don't know how many hours in a week. So then you go, how many days? And they go, Monday, do it on your finger. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then people say, well, which day's the first day? I go, shut up. There's 7 of them. Do you know how many hours are in each of them? Well, it depends on if you're sleeping. No. You see what I'm saying? They don't know. So you get them to understand it. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 times 24. 7 times 4 is 7. 7 is 14. 14 is 28. You put the 8 down here. 7 times 2 is 14. Plus the 2 that you carried over there, it's 168. Duh. Got it? Now you got it. It's 168. So how many hours you want to work? And they go like, I don't know. I go like, how fast do you, if you, put it this way, knowing that it's 168 in a week, you know that. Do you want to take 2 years to get to $1 million income or 5 years to get to $1 million income? And they go, well, I'd really like to do it quicker. I know, but 2 or 5? I don't know, 2.5. Okay, 2.5. Okay, so to get to 2.5, you're going to need to put in more hours per week, because if you divide the program, it takes a lot of hours to build up to getting $1 million a year. So if you're only putting in 40, you multiply 40 times 50, that's only 2,000 hours. That's all you're doing. But if a person's putting in 80, he's putting in 4,000 hours. So a guy that puts in 4,000 hours will reach the point of getting there before you do. Not if I'm more skilled. You're going to have to be twice as good as him. And you were slow when I asked you how many hours are in a week. So if you're slow at that, I know that's the tip of the iceberg, but my guess is the other part's dumber than the first part. You see what I'm saying? And like, you remember when you drop it, you remember that? You remember other poor decisions you've made in your life. You remember that, right? Well, those poor decisions you're going to be making working 40. But if you would work 80, we could get you to make the dumber decisions quicker, and we could correct it. And so that, you see my point? I don't care if you work a lot. I could care less. But if I could get 10 people working 80, it's better than 10 people working 40. It's just, you see how to do the math. Even if they're 2/3 as good, they're going to do better. All right. So if 168 minus 40 is 128. So that gives you 128 to mow the grass, do the laundry, spend time with the kids, sleep, watch television, do your cocaine. You can do everything in the 128 hours a week. The 40 is when we're working. If you do 80, you're getting closer to a balanced life. What do you mean? Well, it's 168. So 168 minus 80 leaves 88. Is that right? See how it's 80 and 88? You're closer to a balanced person because you're working 80 and not working 88. You're off balance. You're not working more than you're working. That's off balance. Yeah. If I was going to be off balanced, I would want to be working more than I'm not working if I'm trying to get what happens when I work. If I'm trying to get what happens when I work, then I want to do more work. So I'm sitting here listening to Jessica. I hired an architect firm to design something, and I met with them 4 times, and I know they were expensive, but I thought they were worth it. And then after I got frustrated about the 4th time, I talked to my consultant, my contractor, and my designer person, and I was like, is it just me or them blankety blanks not listening to what I'm saying? And they said, yeah, we thought the same thing, that you might get upset because they're not adjusting quickly as you want. I go, no, they're not. And then I asked the consultant guy, I said, find out how much they billed me. He texted me back about 4 hours later. He said, they said you owe them $28,000. $28,000? They ain't done nothing. Fired. You with me? It's like, I'll do it myself. I'll make up something. I'm not going to work with them. So we've been working on this project and designing it. And then me and my designer person, we're like, we might need an architect. And so then she says, well, what about we use this guy? I got permission. I said, yeah, you got permission. Go, spend the money. Because I would rather spend the money and get it done quicker than not spend the money and take longer to get what I want. Because like my wife said, I get mad when I don't get what I want. Right? So I would rather spend the money, Abian, to get what I want now as opposed to not save the money and take longer to get it. Like I sacrifice my money to get what I want because what I want is more important than my money. Because I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't care nothing about money. My mama called me and Jane riding down the road the other day. Got on the phone. Man, everybody says you love money. You're a money lover. You just love money. That's the way my mom talks. And I said, I could see Jane. She was getting mad about it, at least in my opinion. She looked like she was bowing up, getting ready to say something. And I said, Mama, have you seen how much money I give NC State? She said, yeah. I said, see how much money I give car dealers? She's like, yeah. I said, you know how much money I give bullet dealers or ammunition runners? And she's like, yeah. And guns. I said, you know houses I'm buying? She said, yeah. I said, what do you think about whether I like money. She said, sound like me, you like stuff. I go, that's right. And I said, and a lot of it's charity I give money to. She said, I just think they're jealous. I said, I think they're jealous too. So I'm listening to Jessica talk, and I'm thinking, so you know what I did? I scanned that website, and I typed in architect. And it was like 15 of them, anywhere from $8 an hour to $12 an hour, master's degrees, PhDs. And then I typed in lighting expert. And it was an architect that's a lighting expert, because you don't want to have, you don't want to, like, the lighting in here is just awesome. It's just, Billy, how much lighting money have we got tied up in this building? I trained that guy. So I'm pasting, sending to my designer person going like, we're going to hire 2 of these at one time and figure out which one we like the best. And I'm going to send them my archaic drawings, and they're going to put them in 3D and color where I can twist it around, start working on lighting, and then which one of them does the best. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm working while I'm working, because I'm trying to get what I want. If you want $3 million a year, are you willing to pay for it, or did you want to organically grow it and wait until it happens? That'd be like playing golf and the championship's $2 million, and mulligans are $1 a piece, unlimited. Y'all know mulligan is a free shot, right? What we usually do on my teams, we max out the mulligans and we practice our looking. In other words, we're trying to find if all 4 of us are on the same page, which means we take a mulligan whenever we need a mulligan. You know what I'm talking about? But if you maxed out mulligans, they can't keep track of it, especially if all of you are on the same team. Because we want that $1 million prize. But if you're playing against us and you don't buy the mulligans, I don't care how good you are. If it's $1 million contest and it's $1 a mulligan, and nobody else is buying mulligans, we're going to get like 1,000 mulligans. We're gonna shoot a 0. What's a good score? 72, right? We're coming in at 0. You see, like if I could write a check for $1 million for a $3 million annual income, I'd do it, wouldn't you? Okay, well if you could give $3 million 3 years from now, would you? The question is, would you give $100,000 a year to get to $3 million in 5 years? In other words, would you give away $500,000 over 5 years to get to $3 million a year? Here's your question should be, how do I get 100 to do it? Not, well, I ain't got 100,000. Remember what I said? I can't. What I need is a person that says, how? And Adam, I'm trying not to say what I'm thinking. We need a lot of people to say, how? My mind is a mess. Somebody said, it's crazy how you're unfiltered. And I was like, no, buddy, I'm filtered. I bet you Robbie has reminded me 20 times leading up to this event, let's not shoot ourselves in the foot at this event. All right. Because unfiltered sometimes sets us back. So this is what you think is unfiltered. This is extremely filtered. Come out to the cabin. We scan you for mics, take your phone, put it in one of those magnetic devices, and we go, all right, now let's talk. No filter. We'll see how you do now. 128 minus 80 is almost a balanced life. 80 working, 88 not working. So then you can figure out sleep. And I like it people go like, I got to have 8 to live on. I go, no, you don't. You can actually do like 3 or 1 or something like that and be fine for like 70 years. There's medical proof of that. Seriously, there's medical proof. You read it, it's in How to Quit Worrying and Start Living. But there was a guy that could not sleep, and he went to like night. And I'm serious, it's medical. You can look it up on medicine journals. And he went to a doctor, and they tried everything. He couldn't sleep. One guy said, I got an idea. When you can't sleep, just read a book and try to get smarter. And the joker ended up making hundreds of millions of dollars because he was working 24 hours a day and doing productive. He lived like, I guess, compared to y'all, it's like he lived twice as long as you did because he was awake longer than you are. Because you can't count sleeping as living. Can you? I don't. When I'm sleeping, I'm missing stuff. I have some good dreams. It's not the same thing. So if it's 168 minus 80, that leaves you 88. So 7 days a week times 8, 7, 7, 14, 14, 28, 28, 28, 40, 16, 56. So 56 hours a week sleeping out of your 88 left. You see what I'm saying? But if you just slept 4 times 7, 7, 7, 14 is 28. Now you're 88 minus 28. You still got 60 to work. 60 to play. Because you're working 80, and then you got 88 hours. If you only sleep 4, then you got 60 hours left to just goof off and do your drugs and bowling and golf and stuff like that. Y'all see how I'm trying to break it down for you? Okay. And again, it does not matter to me. Now, if you're in the hierarchy of Spencer Albright or Brandon, I'm a little prejudiced. Now I'd like to see you work smarter and harder because it makes my children more money. You with me? And I really like them having a lot of money because then I don't have to give them any money. And they got nicer stuff, right? So I am prejudiced. Now, over here, that you're not part of it, I want you to do good because I get to get a different liquor locker on the 53rd floor. Can you see where one's more emotional than the liquor locker? Now, don't get me wrong. I get pissed if I don't like where I am. I want to move. I want a better locker. Like I used to have to get down to get to my locker. Now my locker's about booby high, you know. But I really want it like eye high, so I can look at it. So both of them are emotional. One's just more the other. So I'm just telling you, if you want to go from $250,000 a year, hopefully you're making that, or hopefully you're making $200,000 on your job. Lord have mercy, I hope you are. If you're making $200,000 on your job, and when you would like to get to making $3 million, I'm trying to tell you how to get there quicker. John Maxwell said, what's that girl that has the long fingernails that's a speed runner? Yeah, Jackie Joyner. So Jackie Joyner Kersey. John Maxwell was sitting beside her, and he said, I can outrun you. And she says, ha. He says, I can. He said, here's all I need. In a 100-yard race, maximum I need is 80-yard head start. So if you're in a race to get to 3 million and you're running for 100 or 80 hours and he's only working 40, there's good chance you'll get there. It's not a race. My race was against my age. I was already 37 when I got started, and I wanted to get rich quicker because I knew I was going to be old quick. So you say, well, I'm 23. I'm in a rush. I'm with you, unless you'd like to do it by the time you're 28. Does that make sense? So it's your choice. I'm just telling you, here's some ways to do it. So ideally, you quit doing anything less than the amount of money you want to make. So you want to make $3 million, you've got to be doing $1,500 an hour work if you're only working 40 hours a week. If you're willing to work 80, you can drop it down to $750 an hour. So anything less than $750 an hour, you don't need to do. Now, if you say, I don't know 100 hours worth of things that I can do that are worth $750, how can I work 80 hours? How can I work 80 hours at $750 only per hour? How do I do that? I'm your guy. I can tell you what's worth $750 and what ain't worth $750.